Hello, everyone. My name is Steven, and I would like to share with everybody 4 reasons why I'm starting this channel and why, if you decide to watch it, you can benefit. The first reason is a little bit nebulous, but bear with me. I believe that we are at a point where every one of us needs to kind of ask a question and answer it honestly. And me more than anybody else probably, but I want to share this idea with everyone. What or who is having the greatest influence on us and our families? And the reason that I'm starting this channel is tied to that question. And that reason is I believe that we are in a pivot point in history with society, with culture, and technology that can go one or both ways. It's a tipping point. I think it's going to probably be a mixed bag of what's going to happen with the new technology coming out. But the point is that if we're going to survive as a culture or as a society or just kind of get through it in a healthy manner, we have to really answer that question. And, to share as a quick personal story, I come from a generation, being a millennial, that I do remember the time before the internet, and for sure before smartphones, right? And so I've had I guess you could say, privilege of experiencing the world, at least the mindset of the world, pre-internet and after. What I mean by that is that when I was younger and before I had access to the internet all the time, I was very conscious of my information gathering process. Like every time I would go after information, it was kind of like a hunter-gatherer kind of thing, right? Going out, doing something, grabbing something, getting that resource, and then utilizing it in the best way that can help me and those around me get value, right? And I noticed there was a steady shift from the point I started having access to the internet all the time, is that it was just consume. And I think it changed me fundamentally in a subtle way that was just not healthy, and it wasn't helpful for so many different reasons. Well, it wasted a ton of time, but it also robbed me of peace and joy and the ability to just live in the moment. And it was a big stressor on everything. So that is a personal example of what I'm trying to talk about. And I think that with modern technology being what it is and what it's beginning to become capable of, it's going to only get worse, right? And I don't know 100% how we can cope with it, but the reason I'm wanting to start this channel is that I want to explore a path that's balanced toward a healthier and more wholesome lifestyle associated with our culture and technology. And if any of you are kind of struggling with a similar way, in a similar way that I am, I think it would be a positive experience for you to follow along in the journey. I can't promise perfection, but I can promise that I'm going to be honest in the process that I'm trying to figure out and kind of forge a path that, at least for me, would be more healthy, balanced, and I at least get to know what's influencing me. even if I choose to let it influence me, at least I'm being intentional in what is allowed in. So that is my first reason. My second reason was highly influenced by this video from Connor Woodman on YouTube. And the video is titled, "You've Consumed Enough, God Wants You to Start Creating." And he kind of mirrored what I just described to you when it comes to like my personal journey, and how he was always even trying to consume even good information with books and stuff like that, but was always just receiving, not creating. And he noticed that wasn't a positive or helpful thing over time. And he proposed a solution being called the 50-50 method, I like to call it. But basically he's proposing to receive 50% or consume 50% information, and then 50% of the rest of his time he's trying to create in a way that brings value, right? So it's a thought process that I think is going to be healthy for me, and to help me kind of rewire my brain. And I just want to also bring it out to you. Like, is there a way that you can kind of start finding a way that is healthy for you to not just consume information, but to utilize it in a way that brings value and blesses you and your family, right? So that's my my second reason. The third reason can be encapsulated in one word: legacy. I'd like to share one more story on that to kind of illustrate it. My grandfather on my dad's side died relatively early, I guess you could say, in his 60s. And my mom had me relatively late in her life, so I never got to meet the man. I do know some basic facts, basic facts like he was a very proactive and hardworking man. He was an engineer. He ended up working at Area 51 at some point. So pretty interesting, whatever that is. He was in the occupational army during World War II. And that he was always, even though he wasn't exactly the most personable kind of person, he was very quiet. He would be the guy that would show up, and change your tire if you were stuck at the side of the road with something like that. He was that kind of guy. So really good positive things. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how much I would spend, but it would be a lot of money to be able to sit there and watch videos that, I say, what I'm producing right here, and to get his take on things, right? Being able to sit there and go, hey, this is his perspective on marriage, or what was it like to be in the occupational army, or in Japan, what was it like trying to navigate a career with kids and a wife, right? What did he mess up that he could have possibly learned from, or I can learn from, that would, maybe I don't have to make the same mistakes like he did, right? The point is that now that I'm a dad, I want to be able to leave something behind that allows even maybe grandkids or further down the line, something that allows them to look at my life and learn from the successes and mistakes and my view on it, and utilize that for their own lives, and hopefully make their day a little easier, even if it is 40-50 years from now. And again, there's an idea here that my grandfather, the technology he was dealing with is not the same as what I'm dealing with. He was living in a very different society than what I live in, but the principles that apply to him still apply to me, because we're human. And in the same way, I want to share something positive with later generations that, you know, maybe they can utilize those principles that gets them through something that they might be struggling with. So that's the third reason. My fourth reason is kind of distilled down from the previous reasons I've mentioned before, but it's a desire to become a better person who can navigate this world with peace, balance, and freedom, despite of AI, despite of social media, despite the attention economy, the burnout culture, and still be able to, you know, raise my family, be a good husband, be a good part of my community in a balanced way that's sustainable. And, you know, I can utilize a lot of tools at my disposal, and I thought I might be able to share that with everybody, including, you know, my faith, research, logic. I would say common sense, but unfortunately, I don't think there isn't any such thing anymore. Everybody just has their own personal sense, thanks to postmodernism, and I don't think there's really any common anything. But you can still utilize logic and thinking through things. And the last thing that I would utilize is personal experience. That if there's something that I can share with everybody of what I've dealt with personally and possibly got better at or failed at, well then it might be worth sharing and making it easier that you don't have to make the mistake like I did, or to just learn from things that I've done well. So that's where I guess I wrap up this video, in that I just want to invite you on that journey. If that is something you're interested in, I would appreciate if you like, subscribe, and share for people that you think that are in a kind of a similar position in life. And I'll just leave you with this, you know, just take care of yourselves, take care of those you love, those around you. If you can, do your best to be cognizant of what influences you. What are you allowing to influence you? And at the end of the day, leave the world a better place because you were in it. Try and do something that's positive. All right. See you later.